employees doing the job they have. Please join me in a moment of prayer. Thank you. Ms. Tyson, please.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then would you call the roll to establish a quorum, please?
Anna Gaunt. Here. Fred Kelly.
Here.
Kermit Kendrick.
Here.
Amy McDonough. Here. And Amy Tyson. Here.
Okay, we've established a quorum. Thank you very much. Board members, you have before you the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. Let's see. Recognition time, Mr. Gaston, Jason, are you here? You're always up front.
All right, thank you for this opportunity. Dr. Murphy and Board of Education members. We're going to call up Jefferson County Commissioner Mr. Steve Ammons. He represents District 5. He is here on behalf and in conjunction with the Hoover City Schools Foundation. And here's Mr. David Cohen with the foundation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. We're very excited to have Steve Ammons, our District 5 County Commissioner from Jefferson County. He has graciously donated money to our C-Lab program for Hoover City School Foundation, and we're very excited about what the future holds for our C-Lab this year. Steve, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. I appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to speak tonight, and I look forward to seeing Dr. Murphy sometime very, very soon to accept the big check from the County Commission from that 1 cent sales tax. That should be, and I know everybody's looking forward to that. But I'm very appreciative of what you guys do and what the City Schools Foundation does, and looking forward to also doing some more with them. And so I'm asking if you guys have a project, prefer that it be a Jefferson County located school, that I am willing to use some of my discretionary money to help the schools along with what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing with workforce development. You have no idea how important that is when everybody out there is looking for a good employee. Sometimes they're just looking for somebody that can pass a drug test and has a heartbeat to show up for work. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, preparing your children and your students for the future. It's very important, and it's not just from a college aspect, but it's from a regular workforce aspect. So I appreciate what you do, and if you guys have a project that I can help support, I sure would love to hear about it. Thank you again for what you do.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, Steve, thank you so much.
Okay, we have a number of proclamations, and we will get to these right away. First of all, we will not read these. These are uploaded to the website, so if you go to hoovercityschools.net, click on the board icon, you can see the full text. First of all, we want to acknowledge that this is Alabama statewide Parent Visitation Month, and I reached out to our principals. Here are the things they provided me with ways they engage with parents. As you can see, it's very small font. It's a ton of stuff. And very similar to last year, I created this into a word cloud, and you can see some of the words that rose to the top. At the center is volunteers. So visitation, volunteers, the alliteration there makes an obvious connection. I'd like to bring current president of HPTC, Ms. Kristen Kubas, to the front to accept the proclamation. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Good evening. I really appreciate this. I know that volunteers are a huge part of the community here in Hoover City Schools, and we are so lucky because we have some of the most amazing parents around. Just a couple of things to highlight all the amazing things they've done. Last week we had a color run at Bumpus, which required dozens of parents' support along with a lot of other groups to make that happen for hundreds and hundreds of kids. I know there are great things the schools do, from mother-son dodgeball tournaments, father-daughter dances, lots of things that couldn't happen without all the parent volunteers. So we are incredibly thankful for all the individuals who donate their time, whether you're part of a PTO, PTSO, whether you're a room mom or a room dad, we're just really grateful for everything that you do, and we hope that you guys continue to do it. So thank you for this, and we'll make sure we pass the good word to all the volunteers. Thank you.
Next up, National Bullying Prevention Month. This sign right here may be familiar to some of our school personnel in the room. I worked with Dr. Simmons and others back in the summer. We had this printed up, distributed to the schools, over 1,000 copies. So we wanted people to know how Hoover City Schools defines bullying, and you can see the verbiage there. Specific to some, not all, this list is not exhaustive, some of our anti-bullying efforts. Of course, we've incorporated the Jamari Terrell Williams Student Bullying Act into our board policy. We've got the bullying reporting form on all websites, counselor presentations and discussions on the subject throughout the year, and Be Kind Day in February. I would like to invite, and I'm pausing because of her last name, Candace Van Wonderham, to the front to accept this proclamation. Let's give her a hand.
Just to say a couple of words, we do have some really fantastic initiatives going on in our schools. Our counselors are very excited to have the Second Step program for anti-bullying, and they're doing a lot of those lessons in their guidance classrooms this month. Be Kind and Whitney and I are already working hard and fast on our Pink Shirt Week. We're expanding our activities. We're even looking at maybe doing how to handle bullying in the workplace at RC3. And then we'll be training Hoover Rights mentors this month. So hope to get in the schools soon with those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, National Principals Month. I think we have a lot of principals in the house. So if they would please stand and actually come forward. And as they're doing so, let me read this so you guys have a little bit of context. So every October, the American Federation of School Administrators, National Association of Elementary School Principals, and the National Association of Secondary School Principals join forces to celebrate our nation's principals, the ones you see here, for their service to our students, schools, and school communities. And we know this is no easy job. It's a thankless job. Dr. Murphy's been a principal. She can attest to that. The collage on the board that's now being blocked for some of you probably. I appreciate Human Resources, Maryville and her team coming up with the figure for each principal. If I added correctly, we've got 82 years combined experience among these principals here. So,
Wayne Richardson.
it's funny that you mentioned Wayne, because our next slide, if we can see that right there, this is August, well, he started August 1st, 1999. These photos are from 2001. You see Governor Siegelman there, former Superintendent Dr. Jack Farr, and then Dr. Richardson at the podium. This is when they had the, I believe it was the ribbon cutting, right, for Deer Valley back in 2001. So he is our longest serving principal, and so we want to specifically applaud him, and we will give him thank you, Melanie. Yes.
I'm not sure if my mic's on here. I want to also thank our principals. The work you do is amazing. You all have heard me say in principal meetings before, I've been both the principal and the superintendent now, and my hat's off to you. The toughest job in the school district is that sits at your desk, your work, and I'm so grateful. I learned so much from you. I just get to lead alongside some really awesome, terrific leaders, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful to learn from you and to serve alongside you. So thank you. The privilege is mine to be a part of your group. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Next up, National Custodial Workers Day, which is today, October 2nd. What would we do without these people? I think that is certainly a rhetorical question there. Here in Hoover City Schools, the number fluctuates, but currently we have around 108 custodians working with Matt Wilson, operations. It appears we have somewhere upwards of 3 million square feet of facilities in Hoover City Schools, 2.7 to be exact. Again, if my math is correct, that's around 25,316 square feet per custodian. at 108 custodians. So that's a lot of work and space to cover. So rising to the top, however, is one man who is with us tonight, Richard Allen, our longest serving custodian, Graystone Elementary School. Started there in 1994. If you would come to the front, Mr. Allen. And we will we've got a certificate for him and a proclamation.
I did offer to get him another T-shirt.
That's every day.
Thank you for what you do.
And many of you may know Graystone Elementary celebrates its 25th anniversary. Dr. Stocks is here. That's this Sunday from...
Yes, this Sunday from 3 to 4:30. We'd love to have the board and buddy from the community join us to celebrate our anniversary, 25 years. We should have a short little presentation right at 3, and then the building will be open, and we'll have some birthday cake.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for Dr. Stocks. She helped with the photo of Mr. Allen from the original yearbook to the current yearbook, and then casual photo in between. So thank you again for your service. Proclamation, National School Lunch Week. If Mrs. Melinda Bonner could be making her way to the front. This year's theme specific to Hoover City Schools is the Lunch King. And so different school systems will have different themes. And Leaders Serve Day is Wednesday, October 16th. I think some of our board members have signed up for that, some of the city council there as well. So we've got a proclamation that she will accept, and I believe you'll talk about the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. Okay, sure. Okay.
But actually, the thing, we're going with the Lunch King, but we're saying that we're cooking with pride. So we're going with the Lion King theme this year, and we look forward to our special servers, and that will be on Wednesday, October 16th. Thank you.
There are some photos, of course. Perhaps you cannot see this slide too well. We'll get that enhanced for the website. But Berry Middle School, Bluff Park, Brock's Gap, Green Valley, Gwen, Simmons, River Chase, Bumpus, and Shades Mountain. If those representatives are here, if you would come to the front, we've got some certificates. They have won the bronze designation from the Alliance for a Healthier Generation Schools. Sorry, there are so many educational organizations. It is unbelievable. So congratulations. Let's give these guys a round of applause. We'll stay in the center. Got it. Thank you again. Let's give them another round of applause. National School Bus Safety Week. That is coming up, I believe, a couple of weeks here. Later in October, it's always each year. We have 3 of our transportation employees whom we want to recognize tonight. Tammy St. John, who's a driver and a trainer. Cindy Baker, mechanic and shop foreman. And Mr. Jerry Harper, mechanic and shop foreman. I believe they are here tonight, or some hybrid of them. If you guys will come to the front. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. One more round of applause for the students. I'm sorry. Ms. St. John. Bring it back in. And while they're greeting the board, I think it's important to note that we run a very large fleet of school buses. We transport upwards of 8,000 students per day. We have some of the highest inspection scores in the state when Montgomery comes to look and audit our buses. So these guys do a tremendous job, and I believe all three drive routes occasionally, right, in addition to their duties. So when we're short on subs and need somebody to grab a route, these three will jump into action very quickly. So very proud of them. Census Awareness Month. So my good friend and colleague, Miss Melanie Posey from the Mayor's Office, has graciously decided to join us tonight. Dr. Simmons and I, Lisa Yancey, Kristen Kubas, you're on that, or no, it's Dawn Blake, are on the, Miss Madonna is on this census committee with the city, and I've asked if Ms. Posey could join us tonight to kind of drive home the importance of the fact that the Census 2020 is coming up. It's April 1st, April Fool's Day, and how it means a lot to the city of Hoover and Hoover City Schools.
Thank you, Jason, and good evening to you all. I appreciate just these few brief moments just to address you about this very important matter. I am one of the co-chairs of what is called the 2020 Census Complete Count Committee, or the CCC. And basically what that is, it's a committee of various members of our community from different segments who have volunteered their time to come together, and the sole purpose is to raise awareness about the importance of the census and everyone taking part in that. Of course, we all know what the census is about in terms of making sure that everyone who's living in the country is counted, but a lot of folks don't know why the census is important, especially to the city of Hoover. And basically what it comes down to is there is about $675 billion in federal funding that is shared between different cities and states across the country. And the amount of funding that we receive federally, of course, is based on the numbers that are counted in the census. Just to break this down a little bit more specifically for you, we are being told by the U.S. Census Bureau that for every person that participates in the census, that is $1,600 per year. For every person that participates over 10 years. So of course, for every person that does not participate, that is $1,600 per year for 10 years that the city misses out on. This funding, of course, goes to various aspects, including road work, Medicare, foster care, but of course the schools as well. As you all know, I'm preaching to the choir, but it goes towards things like special education, after school programs, school assistance with lunches, just a wide variety of things within the school. So we, again, as a committee, are working to raise awareness and just appreciate this time in terms of getting out the word. 3 things, if I might leave you with tonight, that I feel are very important. First of all, as Jason mentioned, the kickoff day for the census officially is April 1st, 2020. The census will be coming out in late March, and you can begin filling it out then, but April 1st being that first official day. The second important point that I want to leave you with tonight is that this will be the first year that you can complete it electronically. So that's on your phone, on your tablet, PC, wherever. They will still be mailing out the paper copies. You can still call in, but of course, the goal is to make it as easy as possible. So again, this year electronically you can do it. And third of all, it is quick to do. We're saying about 10 minutes per household. Of course, that may vary depending on the household, but something very quick that you can get to. Thank you all for all of your school folks who are involved. They are enthusiastic, they are committed. They are invaluable to this process. Keep your eyes and ears open for more information. April 1st, 2020, Census Day. We hope that you all and you all as well will complete it. Thank you for your time tonight.
National Disability Employment Awareness Month. If Ms. Claire Jones Moore and Ms. Anna Whitney would be making their way to the front. And Hoover Project Search is very centric to this specific month. We have just a couple of slides that Ms. Whitney and Ms. Claire Jones Moore are going to share with us.
This is Miss Tamala Winston Hardy. She is our teacher of Project Search. So she is the one that leads the ship at St. Vincent's. This is a new initiative with Hoover City Schools this year. We just wanted to share a couple of facts with you because it is new and it is such an exciting program. It started in 1996 in Cincinnati at Children's Hospital. It's grown now to over 300 sites across the United States and across the country. So across the country. Okay, so you know what I'm trying to say. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired. The United States and Europe. I should read the slide what I wrote. Okay, so anyway, it's a collaborative partnership. Our host business site is St. Vincent's Medical Center on South Side, and Hoover City Schools collaborates with St. Vincent's, United Ability, the Alabama Council on Developmental Disabilities, the Alabama Department of Mental Health Services, and United Ability. What happens when students participate in this program? They are in real work situations where they learn every aspect of gaining and maintaining a job. It is an application procedure, so they have to be accepted into the program. They do a series of 3 internships within the hospital in the course of an academic year. And the end goal is competitive employment, and they are doing fabulous. And each work site is limited to 12 and 14 students. Ms. Hardy, you've got 12 or 13 right now?
I have 11.
11. Both are doing 11. So, and we just wanted to share a couple of pictures with you of our interns at work that we are so proud of. And do you want to share what their rotations are right now?
Some of my interns, they're in the cafeteria. Some of them are in environmental services, sterile processing, and I think some of them are even patient care techs, patient transporters. So it's different jobs throughout the hospital. And I must say that I've seen growth just within the time that they started. They started after Labor Day. And this is one program where you can see immediate change. A couple of students already have been offered jobs, but we recommend that they go through at least 2 rotations before they decide to take a job offer. Because just because someone wants to hire you, if you go through the next rotation, you may find something else that's interesting to you. So we recommend that, and really and truly we try to get them to complete the whole program. One young man in particular, he's ready, but we talked to mom, we talked to his mentor, and the mentor said that the job would be there after he finishes the whole program. So he said he finished the whole program. It's immediate growth. We have class in the morning for maybe 45 minutes, and then they go out from 9 till 2, and then they come back, and then they write in their journals, whatever prompt I put, they respond to it, and then they go home. But it's well worth it. I'm enjoying myself. This is the first year for the program. I'm new, it's new, but I'm having a ball.
And I think we have an intern here,
Yes.
right?
Taisha.
Dr. Murphy and Board, I'd like to share that we are the 14th site in the state to be selected for this, and it was just an awesome experience. So thank you. Taisha. Hey, how are you? It's so great to see you.
The right talent right now awarded to Taisha Carter Jackson in recognition of your dedication, passion, and hard work. In the cafeteria, we work in behind the scenes where the food prep is. We're busy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And 2 more recognitions rounding out tonight. Dr. Pamela Harmon, if she'll be making her way to the front, science teacher at Spain Park High School. She is a Presidential Award in Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching 2000 2019 national finalist. Honorees are typically announced each year. Alabama has 2 science teachers and 3 math teachers typically as finalists. This is a very exhaustive process. It considers the dimension of teaching, and the educator must demonstrate expertise with regard to student achievement. There's also considerations to mastery of content, instructional methods, effective use of student assessments to improve student learning, reflective practice and lifelong learning, leadership outside the classroom. So what's next? Dr. Harmon may represent Alabama when the U.S. Department of Education and the National Science Foundation review finalists and determine national award winners in 2020. So congratulations, Dr. Harmon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And lastly, Dr. Dilhani Swate, principal at Rocky Ridge Elementary School. She'll be making her way to the front. And this gets really deep with education acronyms, so I'm going to try to make sure this is correct. This is our last recognition tonight. The Alabama Association of Elementary School Administrators, District 4 Principal of the Year nominee. That is the state affiliate of the National Association of Elementary School Administrators. There are 10 such districts in Alabama. She represents the District 4, which I guess is the Birmingham Metropolitan. And so she's our nominee that we will put forward. And at the state level, there will be 9 other colleagues, and she'll possibly again represent us in Washington. So we appreciate all that you do for Hoover City Schools. And a plug for my handy-dandy backdrop in the lobby. So anybody that wants photos, now is your time. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for the privilege of us doing recognitions.
I'd like to ask Mr. Larry G. Giangrosso and Mr. John Montgomery if you would come up. I actually have checks for you from Senator Sen Wagner. They look like they thought they were in trouble. They were a little reluctant.
I'm out.
I will always take a check.
Brought back high school to call out.
Senator Wagner stopped by today and graciously left 3 checks for us. One was for the school district, and he's also left checks for our 2 high schools. So $1,500 to Spain Park and $1,500 to Hoover High School. Appreciate the work of these 2 principals and the others that as we've already acknowledged. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Senator Wagner wanted to be with us this evening, but he's a busy guy, so I was honored to do that on his behalf.
Okay, this is the time during our meetings we invite public comments. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak?
Okay, board members, you have before you action items, and the first item of business is you have minutes for both our September 10th board meeting. We also had a special call board meeting on September the 23rd, and I ask your approval of those minutes for both meetings.
Do you have a motion to approve the minutes for both meetings as outlined by the superintendent? Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, you have the personnel actions. If you'll take a look at that report, you'll see we have 12 appointments, 1 change of status for 1 individual, 4 requests for leave of absence, 2 resignations, and 8 contingent bus driver appointments. I request your approval of the personnel report.
Board, have a motion to accept the personnel action report as supplied to us. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions by the board on personnel report? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? This passes. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Business action items, I'll share a bit with you in the absence of our CSFO who could not be with us this evening. You have the financial statements for month ending August 30th in your packet. 97% of our budget revenues have been received for the month that ended August 31. Our general fund expenditures are 85.3% of our budget. Our current month's reserve is 7.97 months. In terms of expenses, we've had 3 substantial expenses, if you will, capital payments toward RC3. And also we have paid $3.3 million in terms of interest paying on some existing debt that we have. And as you all know, we have continued higher costs for our utilities. So those have also impacted our budget. In terms of special revenue fund expenditures, for the 11 months of the FY19 budget, we have spent $20 million. That does place us over budget by 8%. However, I would remind you that some of this money will come back to us in arrears. So in November, Michelle will be requesting for us to receive funds for both August, September, I believe that's right. October, excuse me, in October she'll be requesting those funds. That will have us in a position where we should not be sizably over budget, but I do want to remind you that impacting this significantly is the increased number of students with special needs who are coming to us. As Michelle has outlined in the report for you, salaries and benefits in our special services department, the staff development for those individuals, the instructional materials, and purchase services. We have to purchase services such as occupational therapists, physical therapists, and so this increased demand really has impacted this particular line item of our budget. We will know exactly better what that looks like once we get the money. We have to spend the money and then request the money and get it in arrears. So that should adjust itself, hopefully, in a more positive light. I would remind you, at this time last year, we were at 101.8% over budget. So it's not atypical for us to see this sort of overage of our budgets. I would also report to you our cash disbursements in August, FY19, was $5,102,950. And the payroll for September 2019, $8,374,746. And I would request your approval, board members, of all those business action items.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do you have a request to approve the business actions as outlined by the superintendent? A motion? Have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions to the staff, Dr. Murphy, on this? Ms. McKay is not here, but you certainly outlined. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We pass it.
Sorry, I missed that. Did we have a new employee, I believe, in curriculum secretary? Is she with us?
She is not with us, but Mrs. Jennifer Garza will be the secretary for curriculum instruction and equity initiatives.
And do we have others, principals, do you have others who were on the agenda that we would want to recognize? I seem to always skirt right by that one, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Next item is our delegate selection. Board members, as you know, the AASB 2019 Annual Convention and Delegate Assembly occurs this year on December 5th through the 7th. That happens here in Birmingham, so we don't have a distance to travel. This is when AASB takes care of many of their matters of annual business. And the critical issues that would be on the table, we have delegates who can vote on those matters. And so because of our school size, we are able to have 3 delegates who can vote and 2 alternate delegates. That means we need all of you. And so from that end, I want to defer to you as a board for who the 3 voting delegates would be and the 2 who would serve as alternates for us this evening. So, Mr. Kelly, if I could defer to you.
Sure. Board, I'd like to, Ms. Madonna is on the resolutions committee, which means she goes to Montgomery a couple of times a year, is very active. ASB has, of course, a policy manual. They've got their own bylaws. So the board members, the delegates in particular, they actually vote to approve what their changes are. 2 or 3 years ago, Ms. Baumer and I participated on resolutions and actually got the position changed on corporal punishment to recommending that it not be allowed statewide. We do not allow that here already, but still, there are things like that that come up that are very important. So the 3 delegates will actually vote on the 5th, which is a Thursday, at the Winfrey in Hoover. So I'd like to take the privilege of nominating Ms. Modano, Ms. Tosney, and Mr. Kendrick. I believe you're out of town, and so Ms. Bowman.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, and now I would like to say a motion that the other 2 board members that do not get voted on will serve as the alternates in case one of the others cannot be here. Good?
Good.
Motion?
So moved.
Second? Any questions? You don't get paid, though. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Our last actionable item, board members, you received last month the policy revisions. There are a number of policy revisions. These are based on input from AASB, more specifically through the policy pipeline. You've had an opportunity to have a brief presentation of that in a month for review. I would request your approval at this time of the proposed policy revisions.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed policy revisions as outlined?
So moved.
By second? Are there any questions? The pipeline is basically a clearinghouse from AESB that explains what happens in the legislature, the different laws that change on the statewide level. We always abide by state and federal codes to start out with, but within those codes, the state recommends policy to deal with what the legislature does. So we're always going to go by what the law says. Within that, then you get to your local policies and codes of conduct. So this right here is basically a reflection of what's happened in the legislature and in federal rulings at the different court levels. So this is making sure we're doing what's correct by state law. So, to go ahead and motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Under superintendent's report, it's my privilege to, once again, we seem to have the privilege annually of receiving an award from AASB. So to you, Mr. Kelly, I'll present the School Board Member Academy. It's the President's Award 2019. And this is based on your commitment to your own professional development as board members. I believe the requirement is that 60% of the board has to have attended at least 3 AASB conferences or meetings. And we've exceeded that, so my congratulations to this board, and glad you're being honored by AASB as such.
Thank you. This is a kind award acknowledgement, I guess. There's some of the board members at the table have got over 260 hours. And I think we, in all hours we can, this board very much participates in what's offered to us. I can tell you that I've seen districts, I've never seen a board member there, and it would surprise you, the districts that don't go. Maybe they're smarter than I am, but we welcome being able to continue to study as we go along. It does cost the district money for us to be a member. We feel like it's very worthwhile, and hopefully we deliver some good information back here on what we learned there. The December meeting we just discussed is one of the state meetings that take place. Since it's here in Hoover at the Winfrey, we don't have, all we get is travel expense. We don't even have that. All we have is our time for the weekend. So thank you for allowing us to participate. Thank you, board, for making this award possible.
Next, board members, I just wanted to give you an update on Cognate, PowerSchool, and ACAP. And so I want to just share with you that Advanced Ed, you've heard us talk about Advanced Ed before. Our school district had one of the highest Advanced Ed scores in Alabama. Matter of fact, I was in an Advanced Ed council meeting, and that was actually shared with a large forum of people, the success of Hoover City Schools with the Advanced Ed study. But you'll begin to hear us talk about Cognate. Advanced Ed is no longer. It's about to not be a term you'll hear us talk about. So Cognate, I'll share with you just a few bullet points. This is our accreditation process. It is in place now of what has been Advanced Ed. It does still carry with it an opportunity for us to take a look at student engagement in our schools. Perhaps, I know our principals are familiar with the Elliott. This is an opportunity to continue to look at student engagement in our schools using a tool that Cognate has. Cognate also has some assessments. So if we want to design some assessments around some instruction, then we can utilize the assessment platform to do that, for teachers to look at designing tests. We also have access to a full array of surveys that are already crafted, so we can pull some of those questions if we want to. We can craft our own questions to add to that, or we can just use their platform and design our own surveys. Many times we use SurveyMonkey, but this is another platform of very strong instruments that allow us to take advantage of looking at things such as culture and climate in our schools. And so I'm excited about the side of Cognate that allows us to survey. As was true of Advanced Ed, also the strategic thinking and the continuous improvement process is in place. I know that Dr. Smith did a training with our principals last week and shared some about our continuous improvement plans and the work with Cognate. And also there's an opportunity for us, as Rocky Ridge has already done, with the STEM certification, and as River Chase is in fast pursuit of the STEM certification through Advanced Ed, or what is now Cognate. They also have a preschool certification, and that's interesting. I had not heard that until attending a meeting this week, that there is a way we can take a look at our pre-K programs that we've brought on board and put those up against some national and international standards to see how well we measure on preschool and perhaps get some certification. So I wanted to at least introduce you to the fact that Cognate is something that's old but new. It's old sort of in design. There are some new designs to that, but you'll no longer hear us talking about Advanced Ed. I wanted to also share with you that Chalkable is now PowerSchool. So some points as it relates to Chalkable that I would share with you, bullets. You may have heard us over time talking about STI. Well, STI morphed into iNow, which morphed into Chalkable, which is now morphed into PowerSchool. So PowerSchool bought Chalkable a couple of years ago, I guess it was. And so now you'll start to hear us talk about PowerSchool. The State Department of Education bought 7 platforms, and those platforms are our student information system. How do we keep up with the demographics, the profiles of our students? That's through our information, our student information system. It is also the place that will now house all of our professional development as we earn PLUs and as our teachers earn their credentials that will be kept on the professional learning platform through PowerSchool. Special programs, I'll look at Claire Moore. I know that we've had sets in the past, and so this is a transition that will allow us to keep up with our special programs. I'm going to tell you what was said today in a meeting in Montgomery, and if this is true, I'm just going to shout hallelujah, and that is the Student Information System Scheduler. The amount of time and energy that we have to invest in our large high schools designing schedules is inordinate. I was told that this system will allow us to cut that about 75%. Now, we'll do cartwheels and sing hallelujah if that comes to fruition. But they are just really excited, they being the State Department, about how this scheduler is really going to support our work in terms of how we schedule our students. The jury's out, but I'm excited that we might be able to save critical time. Also, we'll have opportunities to pull down static reports. That's the reports that exist on any given day. They don't change. We pull those down. We also will have an opportunity to do dynamic reports, as in we need to take this piece of data with that piece of data and take a look at how some things are working in our school district. So, you know, it's painful when you change, but I really am pretty excited about what I heard today about PowerSchool. There's loads of training yet to come, and the full rollout of this, even one of the platforms will not occur until school year 2021. So lots of things will happen between now and then, but you'll hear us talk about PowerSchool. I wanted to introduce you to that term. And then lastly, Scantron's now ACAP. So Scantron was a test system that we used in the past. And Dr. Jeter, I don't want to steal any of your thunder because you have a great presentation to give to the board in the next few weeks or at one of our upcoming board meetings. But ACAP is the Alabama Comprehensive Assessment Program. So this is our accountability tool, and let me just share a few important bullets about ACAP with you. This is a summative assessment. This is to be administered to our students who are in grades 2 through 8. It is a spring assessment, as most of our assessments are near the end of the year, and it will begin in 2020 with this academic year. It is 100% online, unless there are exceptions such as an IEP might call for an exception of 504, or maybe an individualized English limited proficient student may have a hard copy of that. The content areas that will be assessed are math and the English language arts piece. The English language arts piece will have a writing component with it. That writing component will be for grades 4 through 8 only. So our second and third graders will not have that writing piece. Grades 4, 6, and 8 will be given a science assessment. The science assessment is not a piece of our accountability, Dr. Jeter.
That's correct.
But will be a piece of information that will be critical for us looking at where we are. And then lastly, a few points. Jason? Okay, you moved it, my eyes didn't go with it. Thank you. Grade 2 assessments will not be used to measure achievement, but will be a baseline for third grade. So I heard some concerns about, testing our second grade children. Well, that assessment is only about giving us a baseline to look at growth in the third grade. This resulted in a thunderous applause today at a meeting I was in, Dr. Jeter, which is the test items are aligned to the Alabama course of study.
100%.
If we are teaching the standards, 100% of this test aligns to the Alabama course of study. So we teach those standards, then none of our children should walk or sit in front of that computer to take this assessment and see things that they've never heard being taught. So we're excited about that. And then just lastly, a few reminders. The pre-ACT, which is a part of our accountability, is administered in the fall of the 10th grade year of a student. The ACT is administered in the spring of the 11th grade year for our students. And the accountability piece that we'll have to be very mindful of is that the ELA and the math are what will count when it comes to report card time. So I hope I didn't steal your thunder. I was so excited after I left a meeting today, I just came back and put some things together. So I know you'll elaborate on that further, Dr. Jeter, and thank you. Okay?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Dr. Jeter, how is this going to work with the new testing that the legislature, what's the name of the bill?
Literacy Act.
The Literacy Act.
The Literacy Act.
Is this going to align at all with it, or is this going to be too?
It's two-part, because the Literacy Act is more so focused on K-3. ACAP is 2-8, and as Dr. Murphy mentioned, grades 2 is not for accountability purposes. So there will be another bank of assessments. We give a K-1 assessment now in all of our elementary schools, but we will possibly have to change because they will give us a list of what assessments that we can choose from. We select one, each LEA selects what test they want to give for K through 3, and we have to give that for the measures with the Literacy Act. So that's different from here. It's not for the report card purposes, as Dr. Murphy has outlined, it's for retention or promotion in third grade. So we presently give an assessment that will possibly change K through third grade if it's not on the list that the state sends. And Dr. Murphy, in line with that being 100% aligned, I'll be really quick, and you didn't steal my thunder. Last week I had the pleasure of serving on one of the ACAP committees, and we really read the test, read passages, the questions and answer choices, and if they were not aligned with the state standards, we either removed them or made it match to fit the appropriate standards. So that is a true and accurate statement.
And we're so delighted to have Dr. Jeter at the table. It's critical to have our people there when these tests are being formatted, and glad you're at the table. I think we have some others.
Yes, we've had others from our district to serve. Dr. Scholl was there with me, and Ms. Culpepper from Green Valley has served, and a couple teachers actually writing passages. It's a lot of work, but it's well worth it in the end.
We always run to the table when we have an opportunity so we can be at the edge of that. So thank you for that. And then, board members, I want to request, and I apologize for doing this, I want to propose a special call board meeting on or about October the 22nd. I'm asking you for this because we will be opening bids for the Berry Middle School expansion, the additional classrooms. And once our bids open, we need to get to the table with you in the course of about 10 days to make certain that we have your approval so that we can keep a self-inflicted, but what we think is an important time schedule. So I wouldn't anticipate any other matters of business, or if there was, it would just be something that would be small, but I really do need us to come back to the table near the end of October on or about the 22nd. Could we look at calendars and see if that's a possibility?
I'm out of the state on business the entire week of the 21st.
Okay. I knew that, I'm sorry. Got that.
I'll be returning to town. I don't know if I'll be back by 5:30. The 23rd, though, I'll be here.
What if we look at the last week, since Mr. Kelly's out, the week of the 21st? Is there a date on the 28th we might all get together?
28's fine with me. Pretty much.
I can make that work.
28th?
5:30.
Okay. Shall we do a morning meeting, a 5:30 meeting?
5:30.
5:30, okay. 5:30, October 28th, special call for purposes of addressing our bid. Thank you so much.
Sorry, just making sure.
Uh-huh.
You didn't
And,
have to do that. Did I forget it?
yeah, you would forget it.
It's true.
I'm hoping Dina writes it down because I'll forget it too, right? Our next board meeting is November the 12th at 5:30. Maybe we'll get back on a better schedule. I'm sorry, October's been so busy for all of us. But that is our next scheduled board meeting. And then, board members, I would ask that we go into executive session. Our attorney is here to give affirmation that we may do so. We have a confidential matter that does meet the expectations for going into an executive session. I would just remind you that we need to vote to adjourn into executive session, and that each of you should vote individually as to your willingness to go into executive session. But it is my request, and I would like to ask Mr. Johnson if he would attest to our need to go into executive session.
I will, and I would ask Dina to record for the minutes that it refers to or relates to a matter pending litigation to discuss options and ramifications associated with that litigation. And I will certify for the record that it is appropriate to adjourn to executive session for that purpose.
Thank you.
Have a motion to adjourn for executive session.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Call a roll, please.
Deanna Baumann,
Yes.
Craig Kelly.
Yes.
Kermit Kendrick,
Here. Yes.
Amy Mudonna,
Yes.
and Amy Tosney. Yes.
It'd be my guess this is an hour.
I undershot it last time.
You really
About an hour.
Hour and 90 minutes. There will be no votes taken back there, any decisions made outside the public. We will come back here and reconvene and record the time when we come back. So if that's the case, we're good.
I'm so sorry. Dina, I will send you